whose character is all pure and whose life is similarly pure, who is the embodiment of purity divine, that shining goddess I salute again and again. Good morning. The title of our talk today is Wonderful Things of God Are All Quiet. These are actually not my own words. This sentence is taken from a wonderful letter by Sister Nivedita. The letter was written from Cambridge to Kolkata to Holy Mother Sri Sharada Devi. In this letter, Nivedita prayed to Holy Mother Sri Sharada Devi to bless Sarabul on her sick bed. If Sarabul is to be introduced in one or two words, then first we have to say that she was like Swami Vivekananda's American mother. Sarabul was one of those who, with the help of whom the Ramakrishna order, the institution, was able to overcome the initial adverse conditions of its childhood. Swami Vivekananda sometimes used to address her as Saint Sara for her steady, calm nature and extraordinary common sense. And another thing that happened today by coincidence. The letter was written on 11 December 1910. Incidentally, today is the same date. Then again I thought, these days everything is available on the internet. Let's check what day was on that December 11, 1910. Interestingly, it turned out to be Sunday too. Although many of us have read this letter before, let us read this excellent letter once more to bring the time when Nivedita's pen was working on that particular piece of paper. This is one of the best works ever written on Holy Mother Sharada Devi. So Nivedita wrote, Beloved Mother, this morning early I went to church to pray for Sara. All the people there were thinking of Mary, the mother of Jesus. And suddenly I thought of you, your dear face, and your loving look, and your white sari, and your bracelets. It was all there, and it seemed to me that yours was the presence that was to soothe and bless poor Saint Sarah's sick room. And do you know, I thought I had been very foolish to sit in your room at the evening service to Sri Ramakrishna, trying to meditate. Why did I not understand that it was quite enough to be a little child at your dear feet? Dear Mother, you are full of love, and it is not a flushed and violent love like ours, and like the world's, but a gentle peace that brings good to everyone and wishes ill to none. It is a golden radiance, full of play. What a blessed Sunday that was a few months ago, when I ran in to you, the last thing before I went to the Ganges, ran back to you for a moment. As soon as I came back, I felt such a wonderful freedom in the blessing you gave me and in your welcome home. Dearest Mother, I wish we could send you a wonderful hymn or a prayer, but somehow even that would seem too loud, too full of noise. Surely you are the most wonderful thing of God, Sri Ramakrishna's own chalice of his love for the world, a token left with his children in these lonely days, and we should be very still and quiet before you, except indeed for a little fun. Surely the wonderful things of God are all quiet, stealing unnoticed into our lives, the air and the sunlight and the sweetness of gardens and of the Ganges. These are the silent things that are like you. Do send to poor Sara the mantle of your peace. Isn't your thought now and then of the high calm that neither loves nor hates? Isn't that a sweet benediction that trembles in God like the dewdrop on the lotus leaf and touches not the world? Ever, my darling mother, your foolish cookie, means baby, Nivedita. What a wonderful letter. So this letter is so important in idea, language, and observation that almost no biographer of Holy Mother could ignore it. The Holy Mother, like Sri Ramakrishna, was such a unique personality that whatever great tributes you pay to her, they will fall short of the reality. In fact, we do not have any adequate standards by which we can judge such great personalities. In one of his talks, Sri Ramakrishna spoke of a large block of raw diamond lying on the steps to a river. Not knowing that it was a large piece of diamond, people thought that it was a mere stone. They rubbed and cleansed their feet on it and went away. One day, a jeweler came and he recognized it and declared it as such. Our Holy Mother was like a diamond of that type, and ordinary people who had the privilege of meeting her saw in her only what lay on the surface, but much more lay deep within. So, even we try to understand their glory in a small way, we have to take the help of jewelers like Nivedita or other great souls who were connoisseurs of gemstones. In keeping with the title of today's lecture, we will go beneath the surface of various events and try to understand that Holy Mother's life was truly wonderful and it was quiet. Holy Mother's relationship with Nivedita was sweet and genuine. From the very beginning, Nivedita occupied a special place in Holy Mother's heart. During Nivedita's first visit to Holy Mother, Swamiji, Swami Vivekananda, was a bit apprehensive. Holy Mother had been born and brought up in an Orthodox Brahmin family in a village. She was not familiar with Western etiquette, and she did not know English. How would she receive his Western disciples? Swamiji sent his disciples, Swami Swarupananda, as an interpreter. When Swarupananda brought Nivedita to Holy Mother, she asked her name. Nivedita replied, "My name is Miss Margaret Elizabeth Noble." Swarupananda translated Holy Mother's Bengali, "My child, I shall not be able to utter such a long name. I will call you Kuki." Kuki means baby, little baby. Nivedita said joyfully, yes, I am mother's baby." She then went to Swamiji and said, "Mother blessed me, touching my head, allowed me to bow down and touch her feet, offered prasad, and said she would call me Kuki." Swamiji was overjoyed. Almost every day, Nivedita visited Holy Mother and took the dust off her feet. Every Sunday, she cleaned Holy Mother's room, dusting the bed, sweeping the floor, and polishing the glass panes in the doors and windows. Nivedita had taken on this work as her own duty. She was eager to provide even the smallest service and comfort to the mother. Nivedita, in 1904, wrote to Miss MacLeod when, after Holy Mother had returned to Calcutta from a visit to Jairambati. Nivedita wrote, "The Holy Mother is here, so small, so thin, so dark, worn out physically, I should say, with village hardship and village life. But the same clear mind, the same stateliness, the same womanhood as before. Oh, how many comforts I would like to take her. She needs a soft pillow, a shelf, a rug, so many things. She is so crowded with people about her always. I would like to give her a beautiful picture, a piece of bright color, but I suppose one must wait. Meanwhile, there is not a change in her." Nivedita loved Sri Sharada Devi. She used to call Holy Mother as Mata Devi, a broken Bengali. Mata means mother and Devi means goddess. So she loved her Mata Devi passionately. Only Nivedita knew what she saw in Holy Mother. Sarala Bala Sarkar, a famous poet, she wrote, "Sri Sharada Devi sometimes comes and stays at the Udbodhan office at Bagbazar. Sisters Nivedita and Christina used to go there at least once a day and sit with her for a while. Just as a girl gazes happily at her mother's face, Nivedita also gazed at the face of mother at that time. Sister Nivedita, a spirited, strong person like her, is rare among the women, whose penetrating eyes, shining in the light of her intellect, seem to be able to reveal all the secrets of the world. When she was close to the mother, she looked like a 5-year-old girl who was completely dependent on her mother. When Holy Mother looked at her with a loving smile, she would melt like a child in her mother's cares. Those days when she used to get the chance to arrange that seat, the meditation mat, for the use of Holy Mother, the joy of Nivedita used to feel could only be understood by looking at her face at that time. Before keeping the asana, the mat, on the floor, she would kiss the asana several times with great respect and carefully shake off the dust and then arrange the asana. Seeing her expression, it was felt that she considered her life worthwhile because she was able to serve the mother. Another day, when mother put a little red vermilion on Nivedita's forehead as an auspicious mark, Nivedita looked very beautiful and radiant in it. Mother was very happy. She kissed and caressed Nivedita like a child. Shrima, Holy Mother, loved Nivedita deeply, very deeply. Once the mother presented sister with a palm leaf fan that had woolen lace around the edges, which she had made herself. Receiving that fan from the mother's hand, she was beside herself and exclaimed, "This fan has been made by Mata Devi, and she has given it to me." This she repeated again and again and touched that fan to her head and chest. And to those who were present there, sister touched that fan to their heads, including myself. Observing her exuberant joy, the mother remarked, "Do you see how Nivedita is thrilled having this trivial thing? Ah, how simple she is, and what deep faith she has, as if she were a goddess." So we learned that goddess has deep faith. Nivedita had penetrating eyes, a brilliant mind, indomitable energy, and deep spirituality. She observed that although Holy Mother had no formal education, her dealings with people and teachings were beautiful, Catholic, practical, and appealing. Holy Mother's divine love and affection, strong common sense, and sweet personality captivated her. Nivedita wrote, "To me, it has always appeared that she is Sri Ramakrishna's final word as to the ideal of Indian womanhood. But is she the last of an old order or the beginning of a new? In her, one sees realized that wisdom and sweetness which the simplest of women may attain. And yet, to myself, the stateliness of her courtesy and her great open mind are almost as wonderful as her sainthood. I have never known her to hesitate in giving utterance to large and generous judgment, however new or complex might be the question put before her. Her life is one long stillness of prayer. Her whole experience is of theocratic civilization, yet she rises to the height of every situation. Is she tortured by the perversity of any about her? The only sign is a strange quiet and intensity that comes upon her. Does one carry to her some perplexity or mortification born of social developments beyond her ken? With unerring intuition, she goes straight to the heart of the matter and sets the questioner in the true attitude to the difficulty. Nivedita saw Mother in various ways, and what she did not see, she heard from Swami Vivekananda or Mother's other companions or other monks. But in what form was Sarada Devi closest to Nivedita? Was it Holy Mother's inimitable forbearance, service, clear intelligence, discretion, patience, sweetness, mercy, or affection? For any one or more of them, we think that everything, that is, the indescribable personality that surrounds everything, is for that. But the expression of that unique personality was in an ineffable calmness. Nivedita had the opportunity to witness Swami Vivekananda, the burning form of spiritual thirst and emotion. To experience those moments were a rare fortune. But in the midst of a struggling life, Nivedita seems to have longed deep in her heart for a pause, composure, and peace. And she got those things in the presence of the Holy Mother. In letter after letter, Nivedita spoke of an unearthly ray of peace that used to radiate from the Holy Mother. Nivedita wrote Neil Hammond about an evening. All around gongs are beating and bells are ringing. In those times, Nivedita used to stay at Bagh Bazar. Very near was Ganges. So, in both sides of the Ganges, in the evening, you can find this kind of that ringing of bell and many things going on. Vesper lightings. So, she is writing like that. All round gongs are beating and bells are ringing. For it is the time of evening worship. I call it the hour of peace. The servants bring up the lights. The ladies in the Janana prostrate before a sacred picture or an image. And then it is the use of Sarada Devi's household, which is really a convent, to go to meditation. For an hour or two before, you will see some of the ladies counting their rosaries quietly. And again, whenever she got a glimpse of something calm in nature, she remembered immediately Holy Mother. On the birthday of Sri Ramakrishna in 1905, she wrote to Sarabul, Sri Ramakrishna is a baby today, because it was his birthday. So, Sri Ramakrishna is a baby today. And we ask nothing of babies. We give all. So the air is full of worship, and the evening bells surrounding at this moment are so sweet. Life without meaning, what infinite relief. All evening and starlight, and the new moon and prayer, it is like the Holy Mother's presence. That too is like the concentrated sweetness of the twilight, especially when she is at worship. Oh, how wonderful! In the book, the master, as I saw him, Sister Nivedita, painted a description of a day at mother's house, showing how the peaceful appearance of that house influenced her mind. Long before dawn, one and another rose quietly and sat on the sleeping mat, from which sheets and pillows were now removed, beads in hand, and face turned to the wall. Then came the cleansing of the rooms and personal bathing. On great days, the mother and one other would be carried down to the river in a palki. Palki means palanquin. So, until this arrived, the time was spent in reading the Ramayana. Then came the mother's worship in her own room, with all the younger women busy over lights and incense, Ganges water and flowers and offerings. Even Gopalerma, the old devotee, the senior most devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, I can say, I think. So even Gopalerma would aid, and this hour came round in the preparation of fruits and vegetables. Then the noonday meal and the restful afternoon would pass, and again, as evening drew on, the servant going by door with the lighted lamp would break in upon our chat. Groups would break up. Each of us would prostrate before image or picture and touch the feet of Gopalerma and the mother, or accompany the latter, means the Holy Mother, accompany the latter to where the light was placed, near the basil plant on the terrace. And fortunate indeed was she who from this was permitted to go like a daughter and sit beside the mother and her evening meditation. There to learn those salutations to the Guru which formed with her the beginning and end of all worship. Thus, the water of supreme peace that Nivedita had stored day after day in the vessel of her heart while sitting near Holy Mother, she sent a handful of that water in the form of a letter to Sarabul for healing. At the end of this letter, Nivedita tells us that one of the wonderful signs of this peace is that it influences our lives invisibly. We wake up in the morning to see the blooming rose and admire its beauty, but we forget about the dewdrops that fell all night. This rose drank the water of the dew all night long and bloomed so beautifully in the morning. Such is the influence of the mother on a child's life. Silent, quiet, wonderful, as all the gifts God has given us, like light, air, water, the mother is another wonderful gift given by God. Swami Premeshananda wrote, he was one of the disciple of Holy Mother, a great saint. Perhaps many of you gone through his letters. Anyhow, Premeshananda Maharaj, he wrote, due to lack of subtle vision, we remain ignorant of the power of womankind. Women are the builders of human society. Everyone knows what a profound influence a mother exerts on her child while it is in the womb. While it suckles the mother's milk and while it learns the mother tongue, one, so to say, lives all the while in the very lap of mother before one appears in the arena of work in the world. None could be a more intimate relative, a more trusted friend than the mother. Only the mother can ignore all kinds of weakness and incapacities which make this human life an epitome of languor. The relation of the mother is with the inner reality of the child. So she is somewhat indifferent to the upadhis, the outer appearance of the child. This is why the greatest ideal of the work-a-day life for the entire humanity has been revealed this time in the form of the mother. Sri Ramakrishna used to advise people to live in the world with the knowledge of non-duality in their possession. The Holy Mother exemplifies clearly in her life and practicality of this precept and shows what a great peace and good can radiate on all sides from such a life. True, in practical life, there will be obstacles in the path of truth, peace, and harmony, but this very life itself is most propitious for removing them all. This gives us courage, hope, and strength. The Holy Mother's life from early childhood up to the end was an example, was a model of what a woman's life should be. As a child, she came of a very poor family. For the very existence, the whole family had to work, and the Holy Mother, even as a child, had to help her mother and father to eke out a livelihood. But her heart was expanding even as a child. She showed that she felt for others. When there was a terrible famine in the village, the father of Holy Mother, Ramchandra Mukherjee, though a poor man, arranged for large pots of food to be prepared and served to everybody who came. The khichuri, a rice and dal preparation actually, would be very hot. They used to prepare that khichuri because it is easy to cook. And especially in that emergency of time. So anyhow, the khichuri would be very hot. And the distressed people would not wait to have it cool down. The Holy Mother, even though a little child, then would rush with her hand fan and try to cool down that food. That great love persisted up to the end. After Sri Ramakrishna passed away, when the mother herself was in Kamarpukur in extreme poverty, literally without salt on her rice, wearing tattered clothes, we see that she stepped forward to help a helpless old monk. With the help of the villagers, she made a small hut on the bank of Haldar Pukur, the famous pond, with her own hands. One aspect of Holy Mother's life was that when she once gave protection, once she had taken a family into her custody, she never left them. The bachelor uncle Nil Madhav, the mentally challenged sister-in-law Surabala were part of Holy Mother's family. To her brothers, she was an ideal sister. Unfortunately, those brothers were not worthy of her supreme love. They were materially minded, quite opposite to the Holy Mother. In the later years of the Holy Mother's life, they were always extracting maximum possible money from her slender purse. There might be evil in the world, and there was a time when Holy Mother also saw evil. But she all the time prayed that she might not develop the wrong attitude of seeing evil in others. Therefore, even though her brothers behaved like that, she befriended them right up to the end. In this way, the Holy Mother tried to show how we can make our lives sweet while living in this very world. Sri Ramakrishna's advice was bear and forbear. In this world, evils are bound to come, and if one reacts in an improper way, there will be chaos. Unfortunately, we do not grasp this lesson, and therefore there is so much bloodshed, so much of strife all over the world. The world has progressed in science, but unfortunately, with that, it has become more materially minded. It believes in the external world, it believes in external power. But in India is known for its spirituality and great saints of exalted character have come from time to time to show the whole of mankind which way one should proceed to attain real peace and happiness. In Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother, we have seen not merely two saints, They were the makers of saints. In fact, in such matters, to understand their real personality, only his or her own perception of the other should be considered as a true guide. She was a simple, ordinary mother to those who came to her for advice and guidance and spiritual ministration, because in this way alone the Lord's descent on earth could be properly utilized. If God comes to the earth with his divine majesty, then we shall be in awe and we shall not be able to approach him or her. Therefore, the Lord hides his majesty in forms that we may appreciate. In this particular instance, God's divinity was clothed in motherly affection. Sri Ramakrishna sometimes could be stern, but not Holy Mother. There had been occasions when probably stern measures were necessary, but in the mother, that great motherhood always controlled her. She said, if a child smears itself with dirt, is it not the duty of the mother to clean it and take the child on her lap? With this motherly love and forgiveness, she would guide the wayward. This was the attitude of the mother. Therefore, people flocked to her in hundreds. All of them were blessed by her, not necessarily because of their instinctive merit, but because of the abundance of her grace and compassion. She knew the mission in the world that Sri Ramakrishna had passed on to her. Bit by bit, he had trained her for the great role of world teacher she was to become. She did not care for herself at all. While Sri Ramakrishna lived, she was all attention to him, to his personal comforts. She spared no pain to keep Sri Ramakrishna in a good health. Those who have seen the music tower, means the Nahabat of Dakshineshwar, where the Holy Mother stayed, can have an idea in what conditions of discomfort she had to live in order to serve Sri Ramakrishna. It is a very small place, and in that little room, not only she would be there, several other lady devotees would also be there. She somehow managed. She was the very personification of modesty, as it were. Self-abnegation was the breath of her life. Numerous disciples came to her, some of a very devotional type. They would consider her as their own mother. The mother also responded equally. She would not hesitate to clean even plates of food, which a Brahmin lady would never do. Once she cleaned the place where a dacoit ate, and when this was objected to, she said, Amjad is as much my child as Sharad. One can well imagine the great intensity of spiritual realization of a person who can utter this statement. Sharad means Swami Shivarchanananda was a saint and was the Holy Mother's faithful attendant, the writer of great book, the Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. So, and to compare him with the dacoit Amjad, the Holy Mother had risen to such a height that is unimaginable to an ordinary mortal. She always realized and was conscious of her own divinity. Only to make things easy for us, she put on that cloak of motherhood. So it is extremely difficult to judge a personality like Holy Mother, as it is extremely difficult to judge Sri Ramakrishna. What little they spoke of themselves should be our only criterion. But in whatever respect we approach her, we shall find that the Holy Mother was almost beyond compare. Even when she was ill, she was doing japa, and when somebody asked, why are you doing this? It was late night, around 2 o'clock. One of her sevaka saw that she is doing japa. So she plainly said, I have to take care of those who have taken shelter in me. Do you think my mission will be ended? I shall not be able to rest content unless everybody is free from these bonds of Maya. It was the mother heart of divinity pouring in human flesh that was manifested in the Holy Mother. There is another wonderful thing about Holy Mother. One of Mother's attendant, maybe Swami Arupanandaji, Rajbihari Maharaj, he wrote, I used to see Mother, this incident happened, he is describing at Udbodhan, Bagh Bazar, Kolkata, that building. I used to see Mother doing the daily task throughout her life with the same love that people do their favorite things for 2 or 4 days, for some days. The monotonous work of daily cooking, feeding, etc. In Jairambati, when devotees gathered around her and every person in her family needed special treatment, despite this, she used to do all these tasks with joy. Although others helped, she wouldn't have minded if no one came forward. She used to think that all work was her responsibility. Mother's behavior was exemplary even in small details. In Udbodhan, this incident is happening in Udbodhan. Yeah. So in Udbodhan, we used to dry clothes after bathing. If it rained in the afternoon, they would not dry well. Some might be re-soaked, and water might not be squeezed out. I used to see that Mother slowly wringing those clothes again and hanging them in the southern room of the second floor, tying them to the rope or the window frame and letting them dry. This southern room means who visited Bagh Bazar, Udbodhan. If you, in the second floor, if you face that Holy Mother in the temple, in the main shrine, just opposite of you, backside, that room where Swami Ramakrishnananda breathed his last, that room. So one day after the rain, I saw her doing that, and I said, Mother, there are so many people. Why are you fetching water again? The balcony is all wet with rain. Your feet are arthritic. Is there no one else? Mother said, No, my son, I am going. Let me finish this little bit. Swamiji used to say, one has to recognize people in small incidents. In this context, Sister Nivedita's memoir is very beautiful. Sister Nivedita, a Western disciple, I think, she wrote, At the time when I came, Mother was living in a new dwelling given her by the devoted followers of Sri Ramakrishna. She occupied the upper floor with the few women devotees who were always with her. She lived as they did, performing the same homely tasks, making no effort to differentiate herself from others, save by greater modesty, greater gentleness, and humility. This was the only difference. She also used to do the same work, but there would be that greater modesty, greater gentleness, and humility. I remember one day seeing her bow in deepest reverence before a rustic Brahmin who had come to see her, because he chanced to be a village guru or spiritual teacher. By her outward manner, she was the most obscure of all the household, yet beneath the veil of simplicity which enveloped her, there was a lofty majesty of bearing which caught the heart and bowed it in prayerful homage at her feet. The human covering was too thin to hide the radiance of divine consciousness beneath. She never taught, seldom ever counseled. She merely lived. And who can tell how many lives were cleansed and exalted by that holy living? A gentle cheerfulness there was about her always, and a lurking sense of humor which made it possible to talk to her of anything. The smallest concern was of interest to her, and she could lose herself in childish play with as much jest as the little niece of 8, Radhu by name, who lived with her. I can still see her keen amusement over a jack in the box which I brought for the little niece from an English shop. Each time it sprang out with the familiar squeak, she would repeat the sound, laughing heartily. Another day, when I came in, I found her engaged in stringing little glass beads, and Radhu exclaimed, "My baby Krishna had no jewels as the images in the temples have." There was no mockery of play in the mother's manner. Even this little toy was a sacred symbol of divinity, and she decked it with the same grave devotion as a devout nun might dress the baby Jesus for a Christmas curse. Those who had the rare blessing of living with the Holy Mother learned that religion was a sweet, natural, joyous thing, that purity and holiness were tangible realities, that the order of sanctity was literally a sweet perfume overlaying and destroying the foulness of material selfishness. Compassion, devotion, God in union were her very nature. One scarcely knew that she possessed them. It was through the soothing benediction of a word or touch that one sensed their presence. In this way, everything would have been achieved by simply staying or simply sitting with the mother with a reverent mind. That pure love was enough for elevation. That pure love was enough for elevation of the mind. Another great monk and a disciple of Holy Mother, Shivarchanananda, remarked. Actually, he ended his a book by mentioning this after this remark. It was the last remark that he made. All those who have had the good fortune to live at the feet of Holy Mother have taken to heart that the Holy Mother taught her children strength of character, sacrifice, restraint, belief in God, firm faith with devotion, and dependence on God in all circumstances. Like herself, her children never had the exuberance of emotion or sentimentality. All are gentle, calm, serene, and steady. We saw actually, it is so true. Madhavanandaji, Jagadanandaji, Premeshanandaji, Shantanandaji, they all are the disciples. So they actually possess this kind of, these attributes. Indeed, in the unique life of Holy Mother, one can understand what true religious life means. Renowned scholar and philosopher Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan quoted a verse from the Mahabharata while commenting on Holy Mother. The verse was like this: Mriduna darunam hanti, mriduna hantya adarunam, na sevyam mriduna kinchit, tasmat tikshnataram mriduhu. Mridutva means gentleness. Darunam hanti, we overcome hard things by it. We overcome soft things by it. There is nothing in this world which cannot be overcome by mridutva, gentleness. Therefore, the most invincible weapon which we have is gentleness. By gentleness, we can overcome the greatest obstacles in this world. Then he added a few more lines. But for this, it is not necessary to become a sannyasin or sannyasini, a monk or nun. Outer trappings don't make any difference. As the Buddha remarked, Keshaha kim aparadhyante. Kesha means hair. So what harm has your hair done? Kleshanang mundanang kuru. Klesha, one is kesha, another is klesha. Kesha means hair and klesha means obstacles. So kleshanang mundanang kuru, Buddha says, shave off the defects in your heart. Don't shave your, it is not important to shave your hair. It is important to shave off the defects in your heart. Don't bother what dress you put on or what clothes you wear. Your kesha, means your hair, does no harm, but your klesha, means the defects of the heart, is polluting your heart, vitiating your whole nature. It is that which is to be removed. Whether you are a sannyasin, means monastic, or householder, is not a matter of clothing which you wear or the appearance which you adopt, but it is a matter of the frame of mind in which you live. Sri Sharada Devi, as many of you know, lived for years after Sri Ramakrishna. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan writes, he wrote, Sri Sharada Devi, as many of you know, lived for years after Sri Ramakrishna passed away. She was a guide to all his followers. Never did a man go to her without being uplifted by her instructions and by her presence. Everyone who has had a chance to meeting her came out with the view that she was an embodiment of purity, of wisdom, of gentleness, and of sweetness. When the Holy Mother passed away, a close friend of Nivedita and Sarabul, we started today's talk with mentioning Nivedita and Sarabul. So Josephine MacLeod, a close friend of Nivedita and Sarabul, wrote a letter to Swami Sharadananda. Mother's beloved, Sharadananda, who was a mother's beloved attendant. We conclude today's discussion by reading excerpts from that letter. She wrote, and so that brave, quiet, strong soul has gone out, having left to modern womanhood the ideal of the great place that woman is to take in the next 3,000 years. To me, her life is one of intense encouragement, gathering all of us under her sheltering and understanding life, creating new precedents as new needs arise. Self-reliant, direct, wise. Oh, what an example each of us can make of her. She created new precedents. So must we not hers, but our own. In no other way can the world's problems be solved. Yours in sincerity and affection, Josephine MacLeod. Prasida matar vinayena yache nityang bhava snehavati suteshu premeika vindum chiradagdha chitte vishincha chittam kurunah susantam jananim saradang deving ram krishnang jagadgurum padapadme tayo shrutva pranamami muhurmuhu. Be loving and gracious to thy children, O Mother. We humbly beseech, sprinkle in our hearts arid a drop of love to enjoy peace. Taking shelter at the feet of Sri Sharada Devi, the Universal Mother, and Ramakrishna, the teacher of the world, I salute them again and again.